My name is Tim Rudd. I'm an independent candidate for mayor. Born and raised in Syracuse. I went to city schools my whole life. I went to Henniger High School. I was able to go to Syracuse University. I had a couple years in between where I traveled and worked in the school district. Then I went to the Maxwell School where I really focused on state and local finance. I moved to New York City. I worked in the mayor's office there doing public finance stuff. I did that for about 3 years. Then I worked for a national nonprofit that was basically did random controlled trials of anti-poverty programs, and my role was to look at the financial cost and the value of the social benefits. And I did that for 7 years. And I actually moved home in 2013 when my mom passed away unexpectedly, and I wanted to be closer to my dad. And I bought a house on the south side that I had bought a couple years before, that I renovated on weekends when I would come up to visit my parents. So I still live in that house. It's in a qualified census tract. Syracuse has a lot of those, meaning you have more than 20% poverty. I've basically been fixing the house for the last 15 years, then you could tell. So when you come in, most people are like, wow, this is amazing. And it backs up to a waterfall. So we joke that it's Narnia, because when people don't know it's there, and then they come in and it's a lovely spot. I live with my family. We have 5 kids. One just graduated from SU with an economics degree. He's trying to figure it out. We have a rising senior, a 13-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old. 2 dogs, one who has some ear problems right now and doesn't want to go outside, and it's annoying. And we have 7 chickens, which is a violation of the ordinance. We actually got a rezone a few years back that enabled chickens, and the rezone took a long time, and I'm a trash talker. So I had talked a lot of trash about the rezone, and it's delayed for years and years. And I got elected to the city council 8 years ago. I was an at-large city councilor. I became the finance chair on the council. I did that for 3, then I became the budget director, and I did that for about 4. But chickens, we have chickens. I guess I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Let's give him a big round of applause. I'm gonna go to Alfonso.
Yes, my name is Alfonso Davis. I look out in the audience in a lot of the places I know. And many of you know of me, but let me tell you a little bit about who I am. Born and raised here in the city of Syracuse. I never shy away from letting people know that I was born in a place called Central Village, better known as Brick City, because good things do come out of the projects, and I am one of those good things, as many others in my sphere, in my age bracket and younger. I've been involved in the political process for some time. I actually loved you before you became mayor of Rochester. I actually worked on Mayor Johnson's campaign, Councilman Charles Anderson. Many of you know Councilman Charles Anderson. I managed his campaign. I've also managed Langston McKinney's campaign, and I was the campaign site manager for Mario Cuomo, the dad, when he had an office here on Washington Street. So in terms of my involvement in the political process, is extensive. I am a part of one of the only candidates who's actually helped with the legislation. Many of you know of it. It's not the same what it was when we passed it with the Citizens Review Board. I also worked on some legislation with Clint Bay, Ban the Box. So in terms of just being a part of the political process and being in the political process, I've been there for some time. I'm married with 5 children. One is a teacher at Grant. The other one, a middle school girl, is at Manhattan University. And then I got a 14, I think 14. She's 18. I know. Don't tell her. Don't snitch on me. She's at ITC, and I have but outside of my marriage, I have an older daughter. She works social service, and I have a son. Unfortunately, he's incarcerated because, hard head do make us all acts. And if you're not going to listen and pay attention, then you're going to reap what you sow. So I love him. He's still my child, but I'm just an upfront person. I tell you, you have to wear them shoes you put on.
Thank you.
Those are decisions you make. So that's who I am. But I have a vision for our city, and that vision includes incorporated that.
We'll get to that in a moment. We're going to turn it over to the deputy mayor. Let's give Mr. Davis a real round of applause.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Charlene, and this event for inviting us all here to speak to you. It is absolutely a critical time in the city of Syracuse. I'm Sharon Owens. I'm currently the deputy mayor of the city of Syracuse. I came to Syracuse in 1981 to go to Syracuse University. And that's when, it's funny, the first panel, the panel before us was talking about, it was Hoya Nation on the stage. And I bleed orange, but I married a Hoya fan. We've been married 35 years, so that's a testament to the strength of our marriage through those SU Hoya games.
That's why you're my man.
He's a good guy. From 81 to 85, I was at Syracuse University, studying, acquired an economics degree and thought I was on my way to Wall Street until I did an internship at the Dunbar Center and knew instantly that I needed to be in Syracuse and I wanted to work here. My work in the community has been extensively, I've been here just over 40 years, but 30 of those years were in the not-for-profit sector, working on the ground in neighborhoods, from Peace Incorporated on multiple sides of the city of Syracuse, Jubilee Homes, working in Head Start, multiple not-for-profits, and finishing my not-for-profit work at home headquarters where I worked on home buyer education and making first-time home buyers, which is the entry to generational wealth, and securing people's homes in foreclosure. And so from there, Stephanie Miner, who became the mayor, saw the work I was doing and wanted me to come on board her administration to work in the neighborhood part of neighborhood and business development. The counterpart to that was business development, was Ben Walsh. And that's how I came to know Ben Walsh, through his work on the business side. I have been working in this community, left the city to go to the Southwest Community Center when Jesse Dowdell retired and turned that organization around, increased its budget from $3 million to over $5 million in about 3 years. And then Ben Walsh I asked me to come on to his administration, but I did not want to be on a department level. I wanted to be inside the executive wing where we can enact policy. So I have been here for 40 years. We have been doing, and I have been doing a lot of work in the city, and I still have a lot of work in me and want to continue as the next mayor.
Thank you. Let's give Deputy Mayor Owens a big round of applause. Yes. Thomas?
Yeah,
Yes.
great. Hi, I'm Tom Madeline. I'm the Republican candidate for mayor of the city of Syracuse. I've lived in Syracuse for 22 years now. I live on the north side, on Holly Green. I've been there since 2008. My daughter is about to turn 20 in October. She went to Syracuse School District, graduated from Howard. I got a 15-year-old stepson who started tender a few weeks ago, last week. And I'm highly invested in the city of Syracuse. I have a baby that's on the way. It's going to be coming in December 16th this year to do that. So I'm highly invested in Syracuse succeeding. I'm also an attorney. I work for a not-for-profit that provide legal assistance to people that can't afford attorneys that need to appeal their family court matters, so I do family court appeals. Prior to that, I was a family court trial attorney for the same organization. Before that, I was an attorney for the city of Syracuse for 10 years. I was brought in to the city in 2008 by Matt Driscoll. He asked me if I could fix the housing department. So I ran the housing division for the city of Syracuse for 2 years. There were code violations, zone violations, things like that. And then Stephanie Miner was elected, and she said that there was a need in neighborhood business development. So she asked me to be the attorney for neighborhood business development. So I advised that department for 5 years, and Sharon was the deputy director of neighborhood development at the time. Ben Walsh was the deputy director of business development at the time. So that's where I met Sharon and Ben Walsh. So I did that for 5 years. During that time, I was the attorney for all the public benefit corporations, the Industrial Development Agency, the Economic Development Corporation, the Urban Renewal Agency, and the Land Bank. I created legislation I drafted the legislation that created the Land Bank. I drafted the legislation that created the Urban Renewal Zone. So I drafted a lot of legislation. I personally advised all the members of the county council, all 3 mayors, and after that I was the attorney for labor and employment. Mayor Miner asked me to do that. She said, I'll give you some more money and we need to do this, and I did that for 3 years. So I represented the city in all the negotiations with regards to the union contracts for all the employees. I did that. We also, I was also responsible for prosecuting all the employee misconduct. So that was fun. You hear a lot of stories. I'll tell you a lot of stories about that. But that's me, and I really have an interest in making Syracuse a better place. I want to be a place. Too often you hear people say they want to leave Syracuse and can't wait to get out of here. I want to make Syracuse a place where people want to live, not where people want to leave. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Let's give him a big round of applause. So we're gonna go through a couple questions, and then I know that the audience may have a couple questions that they want to ask. As Charlene talked about, in Rochester, we were able to fill in the inner loop, which was a big development, and filling in a moat. And you're doing that here in Syracuse, the I-81 Aqueduct project. And as part of that project, you know, you have torn down some affordable housing that is relocated and have been making changes with the viaduct removal. And so the question is, how will you ensure affordable housing remains available as redevelopment of those particular housing areas are being changed, and make sure that as you move forward, you make sure that affordable housing is a part of that redevelopment? So I'm going to start. We started over here, so I'm going to start with you, Tom.
Affordable housing is incredibly important in the city of Syracuse. I think everybody acknowledges that. I believe that all of the affordable housing is going to be removed when the viaducts are removed. I believe our plans to replace that with a higher intensity housing in King Manor is now, at least some of them. I know there's going to be some problems with relocation in the interim as far as some of those residents, and I think we're working on that. I don't think, we're probably the only person here that says I don't think that we need affordable housing in the shadow of I-81. I think there's other places that are more appropriate. It's probably going to be the busiest traffic sector in the city of Syracuse, and I don't think it's appropriate to put housing there. I think it's more appropriate to put commercial uses there that are going to generate revenue for the city of Syracuse, so that it eases the tax burden on all the rest of us. Certainly, I think we need to look at new ways to house people. There's a lot of people that are coming into the housing market that can't afford apartments because rents are very expensive. So one of my ideas, I think we need to create more like micro apartments that they have in places like New York City that are more affordable for people that are just getting out of college or just want to move in the area and start a job in micron or something like that. I think that we need to build off where we've had success in the past. I've had cases where,
5 seconds.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I think we need to build off of the successes that we've had in the past, instead of like building in a place where we know that we're not going to be successful. I've seen so many times, how many times I've seen where we built affordable housing and it's gone into foreclosure, or it's become rental housing instead of home ownership because people don't want to live in the neighborhood. So I think we need to start at the edges of the neighborhood and build in until we get success all the way.
Thank you. Just one distinction, there are 2 projects going on in the same footprint. So it's the redevelopment of the HUD supported public housing by the Syracuse Housing Authority, and then there's a tearing down of the viaduct, which I was a proponent of the community grid from day one. The highway needs to come down. What is going to be critical for the next mayor is ensuring that the property, and everyone is if you picture it in your mind, under the 81 viaduct. All of that land under there that is, for the most part, parking right now, is owned by New York State. And it will be critical that those parcels are provided and given to the city of Syracuse, so that the city of Syracuse, all of the elected officials and the voices of the public can speak to what is built there, and that will require our public zoning process. So it is critical that that process happens. The DOT, while we've been working with them closely, has been slow to want to start this conversation. This conversation needs to happen now, because when the project is over, it's too late. And so that is a critical component. I respectfully disagree. I think that the development around there needs to be immense income, and the premise and the important thing about that parcel and what's going on there is not displacing people who are already been there. Once it's a new space, we don't want to say that it's not appropriate for you to be there anymore. It is appropriate.
Thank you.
Yes, I remember when I don't remember I was informed, but my grandparents owned property when they put the highway up. When Ben Walsh's grandfather was the mayor, when they took down, when they created 81, and they disproportionately disenfranchised people of color. And they had this revenue cost, the revenue that was supposed to be geared towards those individuals that they disenfranchised. Business owners, homeowners, and today, that money has not went to any of those individuals. So with that being said, and I agree with Shannon in terms of when it comes down, that property that's underneath the highway needs to be the next mayor, when I'm the next mayor, I'm gonna make sure that that property is being used in a way that's going to allow people who have been disenfranchised and marginalized to have access to that, because we have it. And I'm also going to make sure that the resources are there so that we can do both. We can have small businesses as well as income, as well as low income and mixed income housing.
5 seconds.
What we don't do is we don't prioritize in terms of giving resources to people who are marginalized and disenfranchised. None of the administrations in my time has done that in the city of Syracuse.
Thank
None.
you.
Under mine, we will.
Thank you.
I left you hanging with chickens. I think the point of my chickens is that I do math. I'm a math person. I was the numbers person in New York City. I was the numbers person on the council. I was the numbers person in this administration. And I look at the numbers and I'm good at it. And it allows me to stand firm with truth. I have 7 chickens because in New York, when there was no chickens in Syracuse, I didn't have any chickens. You can have up to 6 chickens in Syracuse. Do you know how many chickens you have to buy when you buy chickens? You gotta buy 6. You can only buy 6, because in New York State, people used to torture chickens around Easter, right? They would get them, they would throw them out, whatever. So they make people buy 6. If you make people buy 6, they don't really throw them out. So anyways, when a few die or if you turn into roosters, you don't have so many chickens. So maybe you want to have more chickens, but then you got to go buy 6 again, but you still got a couple left. So I got 7 chickens because the policies don't really make sense. Okay, the housing authority. I don't think it makes sense to say we're gonna, like the highway coming down, absolutely the right thing. I was right there saying take the highway down, it needs to happen. But displacing all the people from that community, it's doing the same thing again. We need to change the strategy. It's a fake strategy. I say it's fake because it doesn't have the money. It doesn't have the money to rebuild anything there, and the plan depends on people with money moving in and paying the rents. Without it, it doesn't work. So we're doing all this, and we should be focused on developing housing that actually houses the people who are here who are in crisis. And you can look at the numbers, and the numbers show that we're in crisis, okay? That's what it shows. The poverty, the drugs, the situation, we got a problem.
We're going to stay right with housing for a moment because I think that is very important because you all touched on the fact of displacing neighbors that are already, or people that are already living in certain neighborhoods. How will you ensure as mayor that you're not displacing those long-term residents when you do new development? Because what I've found is that people love their neighborhood. They love where they live at. They don't want to leave. And so how will you uplift the neighborhood without making sure you displace, and also when I say displace, meaning price people out by raising the rents or raising the taxes? How will that happen under your administration?
Which order do you want to go?
You start.
So, the housing authority is there to provide housing. Having a foundationally displacement-oriented strategy for the main, most desirable property in the housing authority portfolio is wrong. Okay? There is high density poverty, but it's proximal to opportunity. It's next to the hospitals, it's next to downtown, it's next to Syracuse University. It's a good place for our region to have affordable housing. Okay? And the problem with the neighborhood is not the people, it's not the housing, it's the highway. And the highway's coming down, it's gonna make it better. We need to preserve that housing, we need to preserve that community, we need to invest in it. We do not need to bring in affluent people to live there. They can live right on this corridor where the private market is working, and you see those nice buildings up the street. That's student housing, unfortunately. We need about 10 more of those types of buildings that are not student housing, that are urban housing, that have students and regular people and your sons and your daughters and your grandparents, your parents, whoever. They need to be places that are housing, that are proximal to the urban core. And we can be one urban core and we can invest in the housing authority. Nobody says we should be tearing down the Eastwood housing projects to make them mixed income. Why not?
Thank you. Alfonso?
Well, we've never seriously looked at how we deal with people in public housing. They are always the last person to be dealt with, the last person to be considered, the last person to even have a notion to what they want. And so nobody, I remember in 2008 when I ran for mayor, and DOT was coming here and we met with them downtown at the library. And we talked specifically about how we're going to make sure that we don't do the same thing that you did when you built the highway. That's disenfranchising, marginalizing people, the very people who live in those areas who's going to be affected. Now, I am not a huge component of what they call mixed income, because you know what happens? You say, okay, we're gonna develop so many apartments for high income, we're gonna have so many apartments for low income. The odds of people coming back into those housing projects is 0 to none. Because what they're gonna say is that, hey, you was laid out your rent 3 years ago, you can't come back. Or you missed the payment this time, you can't come back. So we have to prioritize how we're going to really deal with housing in those areas and make sure that the people who are disenfranchised and marginalized have access first. And honestly, under my administration only.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. I'm a numbers person as well. I studied it, I understand it, but I'm also a people person. And the fact of the matter is that housing is old, and it's not worthy of the people who live in it. It needs to be updated. It needs to be renovated. It needs to be modernized. It needs to have amenities that too many people across this city benefit from. That needs to be 21st century housing. So it does need to be redeveloped. It needs to be comprehensive, and it needs to. The difference between what is going on now and what we unfortunately saw with the highway being built and what happened at Kennedy Square is that there are regulations now required. I pray to God that the current administration doesn't remove those. The funds are there to protect individuals for what Alfonso was saying.
Thank you.
So, with regards to the housing that's coming down under 81, I don't think very many people are going to be disappointed that they have to move. It's not exactly the greatest housing. Assurance that I think it's the oldest public housing in the state of New York. It's very, very outdated, not updated. I've canvassed in there lots of times, and it also sits in the shadow of a major highway. So you've got high rates of emphysema, high rates of lung issues because people are breathing in exhaust all day long. I don't think that's the right place to put public housing. There are lots of places where we can put public housing. I don't know necessarily it needs to be downtown. Downtown, I don't live downtown because I can't afford to live downtown. You know, there's lots of places that are adjacent to downtown where we could have public housing. Right now, where we have the public housing now, McKinney Manor, that is, I love that. That's some of the nicest apartments ever. You go there, the kids got places to play. It's relatively safe.
McKinley Manor is vacant.
Can I
Let's
finish?
finish.
I know.
And I was
5 seconds.
very disappointed that they were turning that into a higher density because I think it was a great place. But what I will say is, in 5 seconds, I think we do rely heavily on our federal funds for public housing. I'm not going to be one that's going to, try and start fights with President Trump that's going to maybe possibly affect those funds of several $1 million a year. So I think that, I had 5 years in NBD, so I know exactly how all those projects work. I've negotiated a lot of those projects with the federal government and with the state. And I think I'm a person that can lead us into the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. So the question was specifically how we would not displace people. I understand that they need to come down and they need to be updated, but having a situation where those individuals that are the people that live there now have a right of first refusal is something that I would implore you all to look at. Thomas just brought up the fact of federal funding. We all know that for especially Democratic cities, that CDBG, Community Block Grant dollars, is under attack. And so how will you, knowing the landscape, and I know that you all see what's happening across the country with cities, ensure that you still provide essential services, police, fire, DES, Department of Environmental Services, but also, fund youth, fund those other projects that need to be funded. So what is your plan as mayor to make sure that those essential services get taken care of, but also the support to the residents of Syracuse are there as well? We're going to start with the deputy mayor first.
This is a real-time dilemma. The release of funds from HUD just happened. I know this because I'm in the office dealing with it right now. And what is going on right now, not only the CDBG funds, but the COC funds, which are the funds that support our homeless population. As we speak, the Trump administration is embedding those contracts with provisions that you have to attest that you're going to adhere to in these executive orders. ICE, supporting ICE, and so we are in a true dilemma here. Syracuse gets about 4.2, 4.5, depending on what the final numbers are going to be of dollars, that they are asking us. We are a proud community that welcomes everyone. And here we are being faced with the, other than the state, the only money that allows us to embed subsidies for supportive housing. And now we are being tasked with making a conscious choice and spiritual choice about receiving those funds under provisions that we as a community don't agree with.
It will be extremely difficult to really try to make sure that you navigate through that process dealing with this person that we have in the White House in terms of funds being funneled through your city. And with that being said, just as a city municipality alone, we give away too much. You have 47% of the people paying 100% of the taxes. You cannot sustain your city like that. We give the Syracuse University, we give Lemoyne, and we give a lot of these corporations too much tax incentives with no clawback. So one of the ways I think that you can generate revenue, because we know that demonic spirit in the White House is going to be gone in a few years, hopefully. Not hopefully, he will be. But at the same time, we have to do things ourselves as a municipality to create some clawbacks with Syracuse University, with Lemoyne, with other individuals, the hospital,
5 seconds.
with all those tax incentives to say we need to claw some of that back because they buying property, those properties go off the tax zone, and then the city suffers. And then on top of that, we have a majority of the police officers, firefighters, and people that work for Syracuse City School District get a check from the city every 2 weeks, put nothing back into the city coffer. We have to come up with ideas and ways to get some of that back. One of the things I propose is a commuter tax on those who work for the city, but don't pay nothing to the city for 30 years.
Mr.
Then they retire and send that money to Florida. I'm sorry.
Thank
you. I'm trying to talk fast.
Please give it to Ted.
Them seconds go quick.
Yes.
I'm supposed to use less arms. The benevolence of the oppressor will never result in the emancipation of the oppressed. So whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump or whoever comes next, our solution and our path can't be dictated by them. It has to come from us. So what do? We have a land bank. We have thousands of vacant homes, and we have a ton of people who should own a home. The traditional path, and this showed up in the previous panel, the person who's buying a house, providing a mortgage for their kids, they're paying their parent back. That's beautiful. You know what's beautiful about that? It's like almost limitless. We could all do it. If we all improved our credit, if we all bought the house, we can have a way higher home ownership rate in the Syracuse if we need it. Black people in Syracuse need to have a higher home ownership rate. Brown people, white people, all of us. We're gonna lose our homes to these international development funds. The land bank is a powerful tool. It's been underutilized. It needs to prioritize home ownership for city residents and for city school graduates, because that's a proximal connection to this community, even if you happen to live in Liverpool at this point. Okay, there's a lot we can do, and the best way to have permanent affordable housing is with a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. That's proven.
Thank you. Thomas?
As far as funding, there's a lot of ways that we can save money and create money and make money. One of the things, Alfonso is right, we have profits that don't pay property taxes in the city. The mayor was very successful and the primary before very successful in creating agreements with SU as far as getting some funds out of that. I think there's a lot of room to do that with a lot of the other not-for-profits. if you disagree with Alfonso when he says that, they don't really do anything to do for a lot of people in the city, that who live here. So I think that's one way we can get some money. Another way, I'm certainly not gonna reject any federal funds. I think that, public housing and affordable housing is very important to the city of Syracuse. Very, very important. We've got a housing crisis here, and I think that the people, the citizens of the city of Syracuse need to come first. I said this in Syracuse.com, I'm not going to get to an agreement with the federal government to operate ICE, but at the same point, I mean, we can't afford to lose that money. We just can't.
5 seconds.
Okay, sorry. Just one more thing, there's a lot of places where we can save money. We spend a lot of money on things that we probably don't need to, and I think we need to focus more on the core things in the city. Thank you.
So we go to bed with the devil
Thank you.
just to get that money.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
And so I just want to have 2 more questions before we open it up to the audience for 1 or 2 questions. While the mayor does not directly control the school district, meaning there is no mayoral control, what role will you play in supporting Syracuse City School District students and teachers as mayor? If you were elected mayor, we're going to start with Mr. Davis. 90 seconds.
90 seconds, that goes by so fast. I'll tell you, one of the things, the school board has school board commissioners. But understand this, the school district gets a huge portion of the city budget. So yeah, me and the superintendent, and congratulations. Me and the superintendent, I thought that was but yeah, you look like I'm sorry. But me and the superintendent and the school board commissioners will have a relationship. We will discuss how we can better educate our young people in our city. Now, I'm a huge opponent of a comprehensive vocational program. I went through Central Tech. I took nursing. I took cosmetology. And I took auto mechanics. We are lacking in comprehensive vocational programs, and there's so many carpenter, plumbers, electrician jobs that are available. The average person who comes out as a carpenter, electrician, or plumber can make anywhere between $65,000 to $80,000 a year. Not every young person is college bound. So it is incumbent upon me
5 seconds.
to have a great relationship with the superintendent, to have a great relationship with the school board people, and say we need to work in tandem to create avenues that is going to allow our young people to be successful, because we know they are not college bound.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Deputy Mayor Owens.
90 seconds.
Yes. Again, I don't want to waste my 90 seconds reiterating the obvious. A strong relation with the superintendent. I was thrilled that Pam Odom got that job. She's a dedicated public servant. And working with the school board. I want to propose, because we do a huge portion of city taxes that we collect go to the school district. I am proposing that the mayor has an ex officio member appointed to the board. Mm-hmm. The relationship with the school superintendent has to happen, but that doesn't extend into the boardroom. Mm-hmm. Ex officio, because the people elect the school board. Mm-hmm. But an ex officio individual would have access to the board meetings, and more importantly, the executive sessions. Mm-hmm. The communities are all one. School district and the school communities that our children come out of. Again, lastly, before you say 5 minutes, I am a fan of the CTE programs. They are the best that offer any community around here. And I want to remind everyone that the author of those programs was Sharon Contreras.
Tim, have you answered, Timothy?
I think the schools need chickens. And you know why? Because I went to Henniger, I went to city schools my whole life. Okay, the first day, I had 700 classmates in my freshman class. And there were 6 fights, I still remember it. The last one ended with a kid from my neighborhood getting hit with a pipe. 6 fights, it became normal. I got desensitized to it in many ways. There were 350 of us that graduated. And that included the OLC, which I always thought was one last chance, but the alternative program, okay? So the math wasn't good then, 25 years ago. The math is not good now. And if you want to talk about graduation rates, I heard someone who graduated this year with 165 absences. The proficiency rates are bad. The math in the schools, but they have real problems, right? I understand the pecking order of like human needs, right? And we're failing. The system is failing, right? The basic needs for security and safety in the school are not being met. We're failing in the homes, right? People are not properly nutritious. We have broken family structures. The government does very little to support, heal, cultivate, any of that. And we're taught to seek answers from beyond instead of from within. And that was one of the things that came up before. This identity thing, women, man, black, white, I heard a lot about God, and I valued that, right? I think all of us who believe in this human spirit have more in common than any other line that separates us in this room.
Thank you, Tom. Tom?
So, I want to say that I do agree with Tim on some things. Well, my child went to the Syracuse City School District, kindergarten all the way through graduation. And I thought that I had a great experience with them. When I called teachers, when I called administration, anything I needed done or needed help with, they helped me. So I think we have a great system, a great school district. But we have a very bad graduation rate. We have this incredibly high absentee rate. We do have low proficiency in our standardized testing. But I think that the reason for that is because we've got kids that don't think they can succeed. They don't think school's important. And a lot of that deals with our child poverty we have in the city, which is number four in the country. So when people are in poverty, they have different experiences. Children, you're worried, are you going to eat? Are you going to get evicted? There's domestic violence going on in your house. Do you have a nuclear family structure? And a lot of times kids don't get the support that they need. So I think we need to make sure that our children know that they are excellent people, that can be excellent people. Every person that's been up on the stand today, that's been up here talking, is because they have excellence. They know that they can succeed. We have to instill that in our children, and there's a bunch of different ways to do that. And I think we need more mentoring programs. We need to identify children that are having problems and direct them to the services and people that they need, and get them on the right path, let them know that they can be excellent, just like everyone up here is on stage.
Thank you. And the last question before we open it up for 1 to 2 questions from the audience. Why are you the best candidate to lead Syracuse right now? Why do you believe that you are the best candidate to lead Syracuse right now? And I'm going to give everybody 2 minutes to answer this question because I think that this deserves a little bit more time to answer. I'm going to start with you.
I think I'm the best because we just had 8 years of Ben Walsh and the narrative over reality, and I'm no cheerleader, right? And that annoys some people. But this place, we deserve to be annoyed. If you're not annoyed walking around in Syracuse with the child poverty, with the violence, with the trash, then we've lost already, right? I've been in it. There's been things that have gotten better over the last 8 years. And I have a very non-traditional campaign. I'm not gonna raise hardly any money, I don't want it, because it's compromising. The money comes from beyond. The solution comes from within, okay? I'm of this community. I have the experience. I care for this community. I have the passion for this community. And I'm not here to get my next job with Ben Walsh or Center State or Upstate or Syracuse University because I'll feed myself somehow. Because I have strong relationships, and that's what more of us need to do. More of us need to say, how can we provide for myself? What are the decisions I can do that improve my life, improve my house, improve my family? How can I help my kids stand on their own, right? It's not about hugs and fake celebrations. It's about making strong, young people who can take on this world that is corrupted and lies to us over and over and over. It's gonna be okay. Micron's coming. Is it? I don't know. Even in housing, it's not enough to redo the kitchen, right? You bring in the tenants have problems, there's violence, there's like all types of insecurity that you have to deal with. And we need to support that at the lowest level if we're ever gonna get out of this, and we gotta do it together. Regardless of if you're white, black, purple, or whatever, we're in this city together, and we can fix it ourselves. We need to look inside, we need to look within.
Thank you. Yes.
So I think that the best person to lead the city the next 4 years, first because I really enjoy helping people. I've dedicated my entire legal career to public service. And someone asked me this question yesterday, well, why did you do that? You're not the typical Republican. Why do you work for a not-for-profit and provide services to people that can't normally afford an attorney? I said because it makes me feel good. You know, I get to go to the job every day with a smile on my face, knowing that I'm helping people out, and that when I'm done, they're going to be in a better place than they were when I started. So that's what I want to do with the city. I worked there for 10 years, and I saw one thing after another that made my stomach turn. You know, things where people were not getting treated right, or money was not being spent right. And I would get a call up and they say, well, what are you complaining about? That's only $50,000. What are you making a fuss about? That's only $100,000. And I said, because that is real money to me and everybody else that, you know, is not a millionaire or not making a lot of money. So we need to look at our budgetary needs. We need to make sure that every single tax dollar is spent where it needs to be spent. We need to make sure we're not wasting money on things that we don't need to be wasting money on. We need to bid out all the projects and make sure we're getting the best price for everything, every dollar we spend. And we need to treat people well. We need to treat people well. You know, we don't have any kind of coordination within the city. The code inspector will come out and violate something. What's happening? The guy is disabled and can't pay to paint his house, and we're taking him to court. Well, in the same neighborhood, there's a grant available for him to paint his house, but the code inspector doesn't tell him about that. You know, I have to tell them about that when I'm out there canvassing, and I give them the information to do that. Why are code inspectors not helping people? Why are the people in the city not helping people? When you try and open a business, and they tell you one thing, and you go and you think you're ready to open, and then they come down 2 days later and they shut you down. We need to just help people. I want to make sure that the city is a better place for everyone, someplace where we can feel safe and be successful and be happy to live here. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you for the opportunity. I believe I am the best candidate to be the next mayor of Syracuse because I put on my heels and I go in and I do the job every single day. Now, is everything perfect? Of course not. Are there challenges in the city? Of course there are. But it's all right to have hope. It's all right to have a perspective of the growth and vision of a city to move that city forward. I'm sure all of us agree that vision and hope to build a city means nothing unless that is uniformly felt by everyone in the city. And it would be disingenuous for anyone on this panel to say that I have not been a champion or my heart is not in it for everyone in the city to prosper, because it has been for 40 years. I may not have been born here, but I've been adopted by this community, and I'm its daughter, and it's my family. And so I am committed to continue the work that's been going on in this city, the work that I have been doing every day around housing, around economic opportunities, around workforce development, around defending our children from people who would say that they are just not worthy. Our children in the city of Syracuse and our district are the best young people in this entire region. And so that is where I stand. To continue to be the person that's going to get up every day and do the hard work. It is not going to be easy. And I talked myself in and out of running for 18 months before I launched, because I see this job every single day. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Davis.
I believe, I don't just believe, I know that I am the best candidate to be the next mayor of the city of Syracuse. First and foremost, I'm hopelessly in love with my city. I'm hopelessly in love with the people of this city. Doesn't matter what side of town you live on or where you come from. I love this city, and I love the fact that we have the ability to do some things that is going to change the next few generations if we elect the right person. And I respectfully say to you that I'm that right person, because we have to believe that we need a mayor who has courage to do the things that are politically unpopular with individuals, who has the courage to say that We're not going to foster these relationships because you have big dollars and you've given, or you can give, or you can control these dynamics. We need a mayor who is going to have the courage and the strength to stand up and say, I'm going to do what's not just expedient, but what is best for the people of Syracuse. And I have been that fighter all my life, since I was taught by individuals in the city like Stretch Iron, like Sam Roberts, like Jan Spates, like Larry Briggs, individuals in this community who were fighters in this community, that fought for people in this community. My mother, who was murdered, fought for people in this community. And we need a mayor who has the political courage and the political will to stand up and do what's right by helping people. I'm a firm believer when you lift up the very least of them, then everything else rises. We have to create avenues and opportunities for people who have always been disenfranchised and marginalized. It's great to see other communities prosper, but when you neglect the very least of them, then how can you call yourself a 21st century great city that is prospering when you have neglected so many and you continue to neglect so many? So I don't doubt that any individual on this panel is qualified, but I am the best person to serve as mayor because we need a strong leader who's going to stand up against anybody, including that orangutan in the White House.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. I know that we have a few questions from the audience, and I'm going to take one or two. We got these two right here, so I'm going to start with you, Mayor. Thank you. So the question is about mental health, and what would your administration do to support mental health and making sure that people in the community get mental health treatment as well as drug addiction treatment?
Yes.
I think that you ended, so Mr. Davis, if you can start, and then we'll go in the reverse order.
Sharon Tom.
Mental health is a very serious issue in our community, but it's always overlooked. And so when we look at, like, just deal with like law enforcement, how law enforcement comes into situations, and there are people with mental health crisis, but instead of understanding how to deal with that, it's this Gestapo attitude where they either beat the heck out of you, lock you up, beat you down, and take you away. And the issue is not dealt with because the mental health is still there. I think it's important that we, one, recognize it, that it exists. Two, we have to not just increase our law enforcement officers in terms of numbers, but we have to have people in certain sectors, particularly in social service sectors, who work with us to help us deal with issues and people who are challenging, who have challenging mental health issues. And so when there's something that's in the community, and if it's on the CAM, even though they don't use those CAMs for those particular issues, but when something like that occurs, we have to deal with it across the board equally. We can't say, oh, well, this happened in this neighborhood, it happened to some Caucasian people, so we're gonna come at you guns blazing. But when it happens over here with Johnny and Ray, we're just gonna deal with it how we normally deal with it, and we're just gonna deal with it from a Gestapo attitude, lock you up type of thing, versus dealing with the mental health conditions. Because we have done that in the city. We not prioritize dealing with it across the board, but we dealt with it based on who it was, who it involved, and how we gave them some service and treatment. So mental health is a serious issue. I'm a firm believer that we have to bring people on board to help us deal with that process, particularly those in the sector of social services and using individuals within our school systems, because they know a lot of them, to help deal with those issues and how we can better help individuals versus criminalizing them.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Owens.
Coming out of COVID during the 2020, the epidemic and the murder of George Floyd, I created what we call diversionary response. And what that means is that our police department is trained, but they are not trained mental health professionals. And so what we do is partner, as Alfonso mentioned, with social service and mental health professionals who are the first responders. And that is triggered through the 911 system. That is critical. What I want to make sure I get in before my time is up, because it sneaks up on us, is I want to just make sure people understand the critical mass of what we're seeing: mental health, homelessness, and substance users. There is not one homeless shelter outside the city of Syracuse. There is not one supportive housing unit outside of the city of Syracuse. And there is not one drink treatment facility outside of the city of Syracuse. And that is because of exclusionary zoning that won't allow these facilities to be built outside of our city.
5 seconds.
So as the mayor, it's a bully pulpit for me to say we are taking on the responsibility of the care of our most needy. But it is not the responsibility of the city of Syracuse to take on that care for the entire central New York region.
Thank you. Yes.
So I believe, as Sharon said, that the question really was about drugs and mental health. I work downtown and I see this every day with the homeless population. And what has changed? What Sharon said is true about the homeless housing and about the drug treatment. That's all true, but that hasn't changed. That's been like that for 20 years. But what has changed is the police are not doing anything anymore. And that's the truth. And I think it was a great, goal to have social workers come out and address these things, but they're not. They're not addressing it. And I just called 911 like a month ago because I had a person out, if he was on drugs or mental health, and I wanted to walk around phone 911. He was running up and down the street, screaming at the top of his lungs. The police came, and because they're told not to deal with these things, they saw who he was and turned around and left. And then he went down the street, pulled his pants down, and started playing with himself in front of the apartment building, and there were no cops around. So while I understand that the approach that Alfonso was talking about, the Gestapo approach, that's certainly not what we need to do. But I think we can train our police to deal with mental health more effectively, and somebody needs to answer these calls. Because I will tell you, downtown is gone out crazy. I mean, I came into work one day, there's a human feces in front of my office, and that's not the first time that's happened. That's happened several times this year. There's a person sleeping on the sidewalk in women's underwear and nothing else, and then there's somebody trying to start a fight with someone coming out of the corner store, all at the same time. And if we want to have a vibrant downtown where people want to come to, we got to address all that stuff. We want to work, we want to live, we got to address all that stuff. And I think that we can train our police to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chickens for everyone. Chickens on Salina Street. We're clearly in a health crisis, right? Where it transitions from mental health to like the kids' crisis. I don't know where it starts and stops, but there's a lot that isn't working, and we need radical honesty, radical transparency, right? I do not believe in a system where we should illegalize all the drugs. I don't use drugs. I don't really drink. I definitely don't drink right now, and I barely drank it all my whole life, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. And I dealt with a mother who had antidepressant issues, and I felt that the medicine made her worse, whether it's a pill, a bottle, a joint, a spike from a package at a candy store, whatever it is. We need to stop seeking the solution. We live in a culture that has had so much trauma, and the trauma has not stopped on any of us. And we need to heal ourselves. And until we're honest about the trauma that we've put ourselves through and the trauma that we perpetuate on each other and ourselves to this day, we will not heal. And we will seek healing in drugs and alcohol and all kinds of other addictions, right? We need to be radically honest, and we have a crisis. And I don't think we have leadership that's honest about it, because they want a narrative of prosperity in this community that's not gonna actually help things. We need to tell the truth. And we need to help each individual where they're at and move forward one step at a time together, all of us together.
Thank you. Yes, next question.
Thank you. Good afternoon, candidates. My
Good
name is
afternoon.
Melinda Agnew, and I am a lifelong resident of Syracuse, New York. My question is, youth crime is a growing concern in our community. What is your plan to address the root causes of youth crime, and how will you ensure that the approach balances accountability with preventive and rehabilitation?
I'm gonna start with you.
Well, I think it's partner with the schools, as we talked about, as much as you can for the young people, making sure kids are going to school. Right now, kids aren't even going to school, right? Which speaks to like parents who work generally want their kids to go to school. So there's something far more broken. And I think there's a lot, like the phones, these things are very dangerous. My young kids, the middle kids got probably a little too much phone. I'm becoming a little more Amish, no more phones, no screens. We're highly restrictive. We need to read, we need to do old school things. We need to go out, we need to play baseball, we need to play basketball, you need to play soccer, you need to do whatever the heck you're into. We're gonna run around, we're gonna garden, we're gonna get into the physical environment. You're gonna realize that you live on this plane with other people and connect. And we're failing to do that in our society. We need to start with our city, we need to start on your block, in your house, you need to talk to the people in your house, you need to talk to your neighbors. Like we all need to do these things to build connections. And then maybe kids will start going to the community centers again. McChesney was dope. It used to be my favorite thing in the world to go play basketball on a Friday night when I was 13, 14, 15. It was like the highlight of my life, right? And I think that was for a lot of kids, and it wasn't based on high school. It was like you got mixed up, you got to play with the kids from the burbs, the kids from your city, you got to be on a different team. It was good. You came together. Were there fights? Were there problems? Of course. But we're together, we're building community, we're building relationships. Too often now, with the lack of safety causes us to go in our hole and look at our phone.
5 seconds.
It's a problem. We need to think about it. We need to be honest with ourselves and our community.
Thank you.
I think we've got two issues. One is prevention and one is accountability. And I think we got problems with both of those things in the city. First, a lot of kids being crazy. Why they wild out, And part of it is, the economic situation, it hasn't changed. That's been the same the whole time I've been here. We always had this high child poverty. We always had, kids in situations that were not ideal, portion of them. And so we need to bring economic opportunity to Syracuse. One thing we do is we make the city more business friendly. Make it more easier for people to start their own hustles, start their own side deals, start their own small businesses. Another thing we need to do is, as far as prevention, is we need to identify the kids that are having problems early in school, make sure they get the services and the mentoring or whatever they need to get on the track. Let them know that they can be excellent people, they can be successful, they don't have to be criminals, and just have that support and may not be getting at home. With accountability,
5 seconds.
Okay, part of the problem with accountability is that the police don't want to do nothing. I don't know. I can't tell you how many people, stores, businesses, they get broken windows, this, that, and they call the police and say, oh, we can't do nothing, they're teenagers, they're just gonna go to family court anyways. They disincentivize business owners and people from filing reports in the first place. So we need to get our police on board and say, these kids gotta be held accountable. I know they're only going to family court, but we can do something. Thank you.
Mr. Davis.
We do not focus on our young people enough in terms of creating opportunities and avenues or places that they can participate. I used to work in public house, Syracuse Housing Authority. We had just a robust program that we did just a lot with our young people. We don't do that anymore. Now, are our young people tied up into their phones, into their gadgets? Absolutely, but I'm a firm believer, if you create an environment for them, they will participate. But we have to create an environment where they can participate and they can go in there and not feel as though, oh, I can't go in because I'm on this side of town or he's on that side of town. You have to create the environment that will allow that to happen. And when I become mayor, my goal is to focus on individuals in my community who I know were bullies, but now they have a different mindset. They're about how do we bring our young people back into the process of doing things that we did that allowed us to prosper, allow us to have some real opportunities to do some things in our community. We don't focus on our young people, so our young people do feel disengaged. Most young people say, just talking to one earlier today, what I need to vote for? Y'all, what he said, don't give a F up me. And I said, that's not true. We have to engage our young people in a way that makes them feel as though they are important. And we did that at public housing. I know how to do it. I know how to tap into individuals in our community who want to do it, but they're not given the opportunity to make those connections so that we can change the paradigm. Because we have a serious issue with young people in our community.
Thank you.
That are disconnected.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
We use the word young people with big hearts. But they are in so many different phases. They're the youngest ones that depend on us grown people Then there are our elementary, our middle schoolers who want to be kids one minute and babies the next, right? They're coming into their own. And then our high school, college, and then young adult, where my children are now. Each of them have their own very specific needs in our community, and those voices are very different. Just some in the weeds type of thing, the police respond to issues that go on in our community. The city of Syracuse and a mayor has to understand, as you do, what role the city has. So we as the city can detain young people, but it is the family courts, it's the juvenile justice system, it is all of those systems that are not under the jurisdiction of the city. I'm going to be in a room with the governor tomorrow, to talk about this issue, because laws need to give more flexibility to judges and more accountability to parents, particularly when it comes to the CPS. I do not want to attack families. I'm very careful about this conversation, but there has to be nurturing and support and accountability, and there has to be continued. One last thing I want to say is that if you go come into City Hall, if you go to the federal building, if you go to the state building, and you cut up in there, you are going to be arrested. But for some reason, if you go to a school campus, the grounds, the district people are very much equipped to handle children when they have a dispute. It is when the call goes out on those phones, and I'm a proponent of taking those phones away during the school day. You're going to get it back. And my parents used to need to call the office. I'm done. There needs to be some accountability, because the danger happens when everybody else comes to the school. Everybody. Because then you don't know who's there and what they have.
Thank you to each and every one of the candidates that are here today. Let's give them a big round of applause. One of these people will be your next mayor of Syracuse. I want you all to know that we appreciate you for stepping out and stepping up and being willing to lead the people of the city of Syracuse. But at the end of the day, the seat does not belong to any one individual. The seat belongs to the people. And no matter who gets elected, I wish you the very, very best of luck. I'll turn this back over to Charlene.